안녕하세요. 데이비입니다. 많은 성공한 사람들이 말하길 시간을 아껴 써라. 시간을 효율적으로 쓰는 방법을 생각해라. 시간은 금이다. 라고 말을 합니다. 하지만 이런 시간에 대해서 그렇게 중요하게 생각하지 않는 분들이 많습니다. 심심해, 할 게 없어. 와 같은 말을 하면서 시간을 허비하는 기간이 존재하는 거죠. 더 최악은 이렇게 말은 성공하고 싶다고 얘기하지만 실제적으로 그 성공을 위해서 시간을 활용하지 않고 허비하면서 정작 시간이 없다라는 핑계 속에서 지내시는 분들이 많다고 합니다. 그리고 현재 자신의 상태는 과거에서 자신이 얼마나 노력하고 시간을 어떤 부분에 대해서 사용했는지를 보여주는 것이라고 합니다. 알렉스 베커는 이렇게 시간의 소중함을 알기 위해서는 80살까지 건강하게 산다라는 전제하에 자신이 살아온 시간을 빨간색으로 표시하고 남은 시간은 하얀색으로 표현한 표로 만들어 보라고 합니다. 그럼 이런 시간의 소중함에 대해서 알렉스 베커 영상을 통해서 더 자세히 알아보도록 하겠습니다.
So, I want to share with you something really morbid that really motivates me, especially recently. It's made it so much easier for me to get back into my nightmare mode, like routines, study for 2 to 3 hours a day. Basically, don't do any negative things at all. So, look at all these blocks right here. You're going to see some in red, you're going to see some in gray. Each of those blocks represents a month in my life. And those blocks right there, if I live to about 80 years old. And so you can see I've spent a lot of red blocks. So that's exactly pretty much how much of my time I've spent and how much time I have left. And what motivates me more than anything, and this is super morbid and you probably don't want to think about it, is my imminent death. And this sounds really morbid, and it kind of is, but it can also be cheerful at the same time. But one thing that I did a lot in my 20s and even my early 30s is you feel like you have an abundance of time. So much time. See, when you're 20 years old or even early 30s, it feels like you have an infinite amount of time and that you can always keep putting off becoming that person that you want to become. When you look at things like that chart, are you actually going to really think about the time you have left on Earth? Suddenly you're going to start being reminded that you don't have a lot of time. Life is very, very short. And if you want to achieve that goal and become that person you want to become, you're going to realize it's going to usually take you about 5 to 10 years. A lot of effort. 5 to 10 years of just changing and becoming exactly that person and sticking to it. And the longer you wait to do that, the longer you really wait to get your life handled, the more of those blocks go away. And once you actually start to think about it, if you wake up every single morning and look at the amount of blocks you have left, if you wake up every single morning and think about really how it's going to feel to be 70, 80 years old, and think about how far you are in your life right now, and usually if you're watching this video, you're probably between the age of 20 to 35. And if you think about all the time that you spent so far, you can see that you've actually spent a whole lot of the time wasting it. You've basically woken up and said, I'm just not going to work this day, or I'm going to get drunk and be hungover and waste these days. And if you really think back about how much time you waste and then think about your death, not just thinking, okay, I wasted a lot of time, but then think, man, in about 4 more of those time blocks, if you're 20 to 30, let's take that 10 years, and about 4 more of those 10-year periods, I'm going to be old. I'm going to be really close to death. I'm not going to be able to start a business. And I'm not saying you can't start a business at 50, 60, etc., but you also have to understand that there's going to be a 10-year buffer probably between you and becoming that person you want to be, that really hardcore winning person. And you have to stay on that path for a long time until you think, man, if I wait till 35, I'm not going to really get to enjoy being that person until I'm 45. And then when I'm 45, I really don't have that much blocks left. I have maybe 30, 35 years left, and that's it. That's literally just it. So then you need to think about, how much would I pay to get this day back when I was 70? How much would I pay to get this time back? How much would I pay to go back in time when I'm 70 years old? Picture yourself being 70, 80 years old and think about, how much would I pay to go back in time and be that winner person now? How much would I pay to go back and not waste those days, not waste that time? Because again, it's very finite. You don't have a long time. And that moment where you're going to be on your deathbed, that's coming pretty quickly. Think about how fast 5 years went by in your life. Think about how fast 10 years went by in your life. It's going to go by that fast, even faster getting to that point. I can tell you from 25 to 32, it went by in the blink of an eye. And I really wish the times that I'd wasted not working on the business I wanted to work on, not being as disciplined as I needed to be. I wish I could get those times back, because then I could actually go and I'd be in a such better position right now, and I'd have that time in my life to enjoy it. Look, if you go and become the person you want to be at 35, you're going to reach really that person, the points. Maybe when you're 45, that only really gives you 15 years until you're in the elder range to really enjoy that success in your life. You want to maximize that time where you've hit success and you're enjoying the fruits of your labor as soon as possible. So if you're 20, get disciplined now so that you can enjoy those fruits when you're 30. If you're 30 right now, like, you need to get on the ball. You don't have time to delay. You don't have time to eventually get there. You don't have time to slowly walk into it. It has to happen now. It has to happen today. You can't keep putting it off. You don't have time. You don't have time, because if you think about it and you don't, because a lot of people like to put death in some corner in their mind where they're not going to think about it. If you really think about how long you have till you die, it's coming fast. And you think that aging isn't going to happen to you. You think, oh, this is going to happen to me. It's going to happen. It's happening. You're along for the ride, and the roller coaster is going one direction, and there's no escape from it, and nobody on earth can escape from it, whether they're the hobo or Jeff Bezos. So that's all I wanted to say in this video. One thing that's helped keep me motivated is looking at those squares every single morning and remembering I'm not getting this day back. So you don't have time to lay in bed. You don't have time to play video games. You don't have time to go and get drunk and be hungover. You don't have time to waste a day. You don't have time not to do it right now. And I just wanted to remind you of that, because that's something that super motivated me. Super duper motivates me every single morning. Reminds me that, hey, it's time to be the person that you need to be to hit those goals. There's no delaying. There's no doing it next month. There's no doing it after my birthday. It's time to do it right now.
제가 준비한 영상을 통해서 영어 공부와 동기부여, 그리고 좋은 인사이트까지 얻어가셨으면 합니다. 그럼 오늘 제 영상이 도움이 되셨다면 구독, 좋아요 해주시면 저에게 너무나도 힘이 될 것 같습니다. 감사합니다.